So in this example, we're going to follow the directions of use the properties of exponents to simplify and write results with only positive exponents. Again, start a new flashcard. Now, when we're using the properties of exponents to simplify, one of the things I want to point out here is that this is nothing new to this course at all. All you're doing is the exact same thing you did in your previous math course as far as using properties of exponents. Now, these exponents are fractions, sure, but we're not even using the fact that they're fractions. We're just going to simplify these down using the same rules as you used in your previous math course. Now, please note though that your answer does need to have positive exponents. So if you end up with a negative exponent for some reason, you're going to rewrite it as a positive one using the rules. So the first rule here, we have b to a power times b to a power. We're supposed to add those powers together. So that's 1/3 plus 5/3. If we add those together, we get 6/3. 6/3 is 2. B squared. That's it. We didn't do anything with radicals. We're just using properties of exponents. On this next example, we have 7 to a power over 7 to a power. We can have a base that's a number, and that's perfectly fine. Our rule here is that we're going to subtract the powers. 1/3 minus 4/3 is negative 3/3 or negative 1. But instead of a negative exponent, we're going to rewrite this. A negative exponent means to take the reciprocal of the base. And there's our answer for that one. Now the next one gets a little bit tricky. We've got a lot going on in this one. But let's take it one step at a time. The first thing that's going on is in the top, we've got this parenthesis with an exponent. So if we use a power over a product rule, this tells me take that fifth power to the number, to the x, and to the y. Now before I simplify anything, I'm going to just literally write that. I'm going to write 2 to the fifth, x to the 2/5 to the fifth, y to the negative 1/3 to the fifth. Now because I'm dealing with rules of exponents, I'm going to go ahead and also put a 1 onto that y, just to remind myself that it's y to the first. Now one of the things I just want to point out about this is start writing stuff down. There's going to be some intimidating looking problems at different points, like the one that we're doing right now. Take it one step at a time and just write stuff down, one step at a time. So now up top, we're going to simplify this a little bit. We have 2 to the fifth, that's 32. Then I'm going to look at my x's. When I raise a power to a power, I multiply the powers. That's one of my rules. If I'm multiplying 2/5 times 5, I just get 2. So that's x squared. Similarly for the y, I'm going to multiply the exponents. Negative 1/3 times 5 gets me negative 5/3. I'm going to copy down these guys. So now I need to simplify this fraction. And what I would do if I were you in problems like this is I would break this up into basically 3 separate problems. The numbers, the x's, and then the y's. Looking at just the numbers, I've got a 32 on the top. Nothing to simplify, he's just going to copy down to the next step, a 32. If I look at the x's, I have x squared over x squared. That's 1. They divide out. Now let's look at the y's. I have y to a power divided by y to a power. So I know I'm supposed to subtract those powers. I'm supposed to subtract negative 5/3 minus 1. In order to do that subtraction, I would need a common denominator. So I'm going to rewrite 1 as 3/3. Now if I have negative 5 minus 3, that's negative 8/3. So that's what I'm getting for my y's is y to the negative 8/3. Now we don't need to write the times 1 in our final answer, but we're also not allowed to leave a negative exponent. The 32 stays in the top because he doesn't have a negative exponent. But the y does have a negative exponent. So we're going to put him in the bottom. He's still 8/3. Remember that we're taking the reciprocal of the base of the y. The y is what gets moved down to the bottom. The 8/3 stays as is. And that is our answer.